Hello! This is a battle I have been looking forward to casting, the Battle of Neoticenna. The players are Madslinky from the Wolf Clan and Kratos from the SITH clan. Now, before we begin, I'll just go over their builds. And I haven't been uploading a lot of battles lately, because I have been busy with getting a new computer and getting everything to work, and with work basically. So I haven't been making any mechanics videos in quite some time, and that is because I want to increase the quality of my videos and especially the audio. So I've bought a new microphone that should be arriving in a few days, and then I'll start making more mechanics videos because I have a lot more material that I want to cover in the mechanics aspect of Rome 2. But until then, there will be more tournament videos, and the second round of the Worst of the Ancients tournament is beginning. The deadline is next Sunday, so we should get a lot of games up until and through the weekend, which I look forward to very much. I haven't been able to play a lot myself, only a few quick battles and actually 2 quick battles since the last week's tournaments, and that is of course not optimal for tournament games, but that's how it goes. Now for Macedon, we have 4 Hoplites on the flanks, 3 thorax swords protected by levy pikes. Thank you for making the Neoticenna not flat anymore, CA. That's a really great move. You can see you spend a lot of thought on how to make the multiplayer aspect of the game better. Then we have 3 Thessalian cavalry, 1 companion cavalry, 2 Rhodians, 2 javelin men, and 3 militia hoplites, and a very nice counter Parthia army this, with some strong infantry, pikes to stop your swords from being massacred by cataphracts, some skirmishers that are able to absorb a lot of fire and do the damage, AP damage. So it looks like Macedon is content to adopt a defensive posture here, which Macedon kind of has to do against Parthia. These guys, with their 50% chance of blocking missiles, are going to be able to eat missiles all day from these mercenary Sarmatian horse archers. And shooting at militia hoplites is a waste, basically, so Kratos is going to pull away his mercenary Sarmatian horse archers. And Madslinky is just screening them slowly with his mercenary Rhodian slingers. For Parthia, we have 4 mercenary Sarmatian horse, 4 Parthian foot archers, 5 swords, 2 eastern spears, 3 eastern cataphracts, and a royal cataphract general. That's it. So Parthia wins out in the skirmishing department, in the cavalry department, and Macedon wins out in the infantry department, as is to be expected. But Macedon still has some pretty nice cavalry in the Thessalians that can potentially do a lot of damage both to skirmishers and swords, and of course the companions are beasts. I really like the Thessalians, however, for their price, but the price of these Eastern cataphracts cannot of course be beaten. What you get for 1060 is just immense in these Eastern cataphracts. So here we are, levy pikes hill camping on the Neoticenna. Can't really see shit here, but they're actually not camping on the hill, they're camping behind the hill. Parthia is moving up, Macedon is holding position. And being spread out like this could be very dangerous, but if you look at his setup here, the pikes are going to protect the front from cavalry charges, and the cavalry is going to protect the flanks from cavalry charges. So if there are cataphracts incoming here, Madslinky is going to be able to charge through his own men, stop the cataphracts, and then pile in with the javelins and the hoplites. So this is a pretty difficult army to take on for Parthia. Parthia is going to have to use their Sarmatian horse very effectively, and also to take out important units with skirmishing, like maybe focusing fire on these levy pikes to open up the swords for cavalry charges. That could be pretty nice. We'll see how Kratos decides to engage here. Almost in range now with the Parthian foot. The cavalry of Macedon is soon going to be in range of these mercenary Sarmatian horse archers. So they're going to push ahead, and that is of course going to move them in range of the Parthian foot archers. Mercenary Rhodians going down to arrow fire, and now the mercenary Sarmatian horse are being very useful. They have to run away because they are being attacked by Rhodians. Some sporadic arrow fire towards the center of Macedon's lines. Now we have more concentrated fire dropping on the Thessalians and killing some of their number. So Macedon is going to rush Parthia here, deny them the chance to skirmish for as long as they need. Nice javelins incoming on the Parthian foot archers. The Parthian foot archers are going to get off a few volleys, but then they're just going to pull away. Not quite in time, because they are going to get charged here, showered with javelins. This is pretty devastating, very important for Macedon to get in and destroy as many archers as possible. Very nice move here in charging the Eastern Cataphracts. This is going to allow the Royal Cataphracts to countercharge the companion cavalry in the rear, and these companions are going to take the charge fairly well, actually. Hoplite support incoming, and this is very nice for Macedon, being able to blob up the Parthian cataphracts like this and to grind them down in melee with Hoplites. The Parthian foot archers need to withdraw, and something pretty important happened here. Some people will call this an infantry pull-through, but here you can see the attack orders. This has happened in so many games, and it's equally frustrating each time it happens. If these Parthian foot archers, they were here, then they're getting charged by thorax swords that are in turn going to be stopped somewhat by these Parthian swords. However, there are gaps here, and when you give an attack order to the skirmishers behind infantry, the units are going to charge through the gaps, get stopped where there are units, and then turn back. So let's just see if that happens. So they are charging after. Nope, now they're turning back. So in no way a pull-through, that's just how the game mechanics work, nothing the players can do about it at all. Completely legitimate. Now if Kratos didn't pull his archers back far enough here, then these thorax swords would actually get into the Parthian foot archers, and some people would call that a pull-through, while it in no way is so. So it's very useful being able to see the move orders here, because if we saw Madslinky giving move orders all over the place, trying to pull through, that would be a pull-through. But giving a single attack order, and then the unit withdrawing behind and being followed by some of the guys in the thorax swords, that's not a pull-through. So here we have the mercenary Sarmatians charging in and knocking down units. Might get caught here and destroyed by the militia hoplites. Yep, looks like they are. Eastern Spears have had enough of this fight. Again, using militia hoplites very nicely to bait arrows and to push away the mercenary Sarmatian horse. Nice use of these cheap units. The Eastern Cataphracts that were charged are already going down, taking a lot of fire from mercenary Rhodians, but Macedon is about to lose its general. It might not be the best idea to pull away the Royal Cataphracts there, because they lost a lot of men pulling out. And now the general of Parthia is wavering. The general of Macedon is going to go down as well, but not before getting into the archers over here and doing some more damage. In the center, Parthia is actually winning the infantry engagement. Pretty decisive that the general was able to get into the Parthian foot here. It would have been really bad for Macedon if he wasn't able to get there. Arrows being fired on the Thessalians, but that is also going to do friendly fire to the Royal Cataphracts. The Hoplites are going to get into the Royal Cataphracts as well, push back the Parthian foot. But the Parthian swords are doing fairly well for themselves here, doing a lot of damage to the Hoplites and the thorax swords. One unit is going to lose here. It is under fire from mercenary Rhodians, so that's going to tip the battle in favor of Macedon. Very nice battle this, very intense, a lot of things going on. Here we have the mercenary Sarmatian horse riding around, getting some kills. Don't be afraid to do what Kratos is doing here. Don't be afraid to charge into light skirmishers that are on the move with horse archers. It's going to knock them down, it's going to stop them firing. and it's going to do some damage. So very nice use of horse archers here. They can actually work in melee against light units like javelins. They just need to get out before supporting units are arriving to take care of the horse archers. Levy pikes going down, the Parthian swords are being attacked in the rear by Hoplites. But very nice kills on the Parthian swords, they are good units when managed well. Thorax sword center going down for Madslinky. Levy pikes also going down, so the Parthian infantry is doing very well here. While the Parthian cavalry was neutralized by some very nice charges to begin with. There's still this unit of Eastern Cataphracts, but it has been fighting Thessalians and Hoplites. It's going to make it into the mercenary Rhodians, but they are so depleted that they're not going to be able to destroy the entire unit as quickly as they need to. And when they're getting countercharged, they're going to get stabbed to death by very cheap, very effective militia Hoplites. As meat shields, these guys are pretty awesome. Now there are skirmishers alive on both sides, pouring fire at will into the infantry fights, and I think this is going to go in Macedon's favor, because Macedon has the Rhodian slingers with a higher rate of fire, more ammo and more AP. Against the front of Macedon, these Parthian foot are not going to be very effective. They are going to be able to get kills, especially against the rear of these Hoplites, but they really need to take care of the mercenary Rhodian slingers. And here you can see how useful it is to have high morale, because the general is dead, so they're at minus 15. Getting charged in the rear is going to give them minus 30. But since they have 55 morale, they are going to be able to hold here. Lesser skirmish units like these Parthian foot would just break, with the general being dead and being rear charged. Here we have Parthian swords breaking through the Hoplites. The Hoplites are being fired at the rear, they're losing the combat. That is going to be the end of the Hoplites. Still nice rear charge here on the Parthian swords by the Thorax swords. And not a lot of units left on the field here. We have some Hoplites and militia Hoplites left for Macedon. We also have the very important mercenary Rhodian slingers. For Parthia we have these Parthian swords and the 2 mercenary summation horse. So things might go either way still. But it's going to be very important to be able to deal with the mercenary Rhodian slingers for Parthia. And Madslinky is screening his guys very nicely. He might lose in the center here with his Thorax swords and his militia Hoplites, but it's going to be so important to keep his mercenary Rhodians alive. Kratos is not firing at the Rhodians yet, for some reason. Maybe he doesn't want to do friendly fire to his mercenary summation horse. They're going to ride into the mercenary Rhodian slingers, do some damage, but when the Hoplites get back up from being knocked down, they're going to take down a lot of these mercenary summation horse archers. And in the center, some nice rear charging going on by mercenary summation horse. Nice kills on them, very useful in the late game, able to rear charge at will and knock down enemy units. But they don't have the staying power to kill a lot of units in melee. So looks like these guys are going to rout off the field. These guys are going to do very well in rear charging the Hoplites. So Macedon has lost in the center, but they are Parthia is surrounded by mercenary Rhodian slingers, and these guys are going to keep racking up the kills in a devastating fashion. So mercenary summation horse and Parthian swords moving in to support the these skirmishers. But being under fire from 2 sides like this is going to take down the Parthian foot very quickly indeed. Parthia doesn't really have a response to the elite skirmishers left on the field now, and the Parthian foot are going to get destroyed pretty quickly by Macedon. And then these guys are either going to get charged from all sides, surrounded, or they're going to die. So shield wall here is going to increase their armor, and that might help them a bit against missiles. But when their skirmishing support is off the field, then Parthia is defeated. So 1 unit of mercenary Rhodians went down, but this 1 unit is probably going to win the battle for Macedon. It just needs to take care of these guys, and it's going to do that in pretty devastating fashion. It looks like these guys are out of ammunition now, and this is just why slingers are so good. A lot of ammunition, a lot of armor penetration, good morale, armor, just overall great units. Taking down the Parthian foot, and then now the army is losing decisively, so the Parthian swords are probably going to rout off the field pretty soon. The Rhodians are going to do some more damage and just a massive amount of kills on the mercenary Rhodians. It was a very close, very good battle, but Madslinky managed to keep his skirmishers alive and take care of the cavalry of Parthia very effectively. So the Parthian infantry did great. The Parthian archers, not that great, not horrible, but the Rhodian slingers really shined in this battle. Or shone, I should say. The cavalry of Macedon didn't get a lot of kills, but they did something very important in taking care of the role of cataphracts and getting into the skirmishers. So, in the next battle, the players are going to change the factions around. In this battle, Madslinky is going to command Parthia, and Kratos is going to command Macedon. And we have a very typical Parthian army by Madslinky here, a pretty nice army, while Macedon went very infantry heavy. So Parthia has 5 Parthian foot, 6 Eastern Cataphracts, Noble Horse Archer General. I know some of you don't like the Noble Horse Archer General, but let's just have a look at him. This guy has all the different types of ammunition, so very useful heavy shot. Heavy shot is going to boost his missile damage to 40 and give him 8 armor penetration. He has a 22 charge bonus, he is super heavy. He has 90 armor, 95 health, and he has a melee attack of 39. So this guy is going to be able to use his missiles and then destroy enemy skirmishers or be very useful in rare charges and knocking down enemy units. And bringing in this 880 general is going to allow you to almost bring an entire extra Eastern Cataphract compared to if you bring Royal Cataphract General. Not quite, but you're saving quite a lot of funds bringing these Noble Horse Archers, so I quite like the General there. It's also nice to have the General be very mobile, and you don't have to consider fatigue as much with these units, because they are basically going to run around and do some skirmishing and then probably run to safety. But one thing to have a look at, and I forgot to mention this in the other video, the general in this case is a warrior general, so he's going to be able to put war cry on enemy units and intimidate, and war cry together with flaming shot and rear charge, that can be devastating against enemy units. So interesting choice of general there. Let's have a look at Kratos' build. Kratos has a shield bearer general with the standard commander general, raise banner and rally, useful stuff. Then he has 3 levy pikes in the center, 2 hoplites on each flank, a center consisting of thorax swords, 2 militia hoplites, 1 hoplite in the rear. Very strong skirmishing from Macedon, so it looks like Macedon didn't bring any cavalry and went for skirmish and infantry heavy instead. Mercenary Rhodian slingers, notice that these guys are facing backwards, so it looks like they are ready for these horse archers. And then we have the mercenary Cretans facing forwards. So mercenary Rhodians going up against the high armored noble horse archers, and then the mercenary Cretans going up against the low armored Parthian foot. And the Cretans in patch 16, they lost their shield value, so now they only have 30 armor, and some of you will say, well, they only had their shields on their backs anyway. But keep in mind that shields in this game are not modeled on the unit. So the shield value is applied, although the shield is on the back or wherever their shield is. Shots to the front and shots to the left are going to be blocked by shields because it's calculated against where the shot lands on the unit model itself, not on the shield. So when you see projectiles hitting the shields and getting stuck and so on, that's just a nice graphical effect. It's not really, it doesn't really affect how things are calculated at all. So again, we see Parthia moving up. The Parthian skirmishers are going to be mainly unopposed here, so they should be able to do a lot of damage. Because there's no cavalry on the field, they're going to be able to pick their angles. Keeping the guys in the rear here is a good idea, because that means that these guys are going to have to be turned in order to face the Parthians. Macedon's creating a wide defensive formation here. The front is going to be immune to cataphract charges for some time at least, but these guys are going to go down so quickly to arrow fire that if these guys go down, this Macedonian build could crumble very, very quickly to the combined assault of the skirmishers and the cataphracts. Eastern Spears moving up in tandem with the archers, and that's of course going to enable the Eastern Spearmen to push away the skirmishers of Macedon here. Parthian archers staying out of range. The mercenary Cretans are deadly to the low armor Parthian foot. So although the Parthian foot archers there are a lot more of them, they could run into trouble against the mercenary Cretans. They do get the first volleys off, and that is pretty important. Taking down some Thracian peltas, doing some collateral damage to the levy pikes. And here we have the horse archers starting to skirmish against the general of Macedon, not using heavy shot, just your standard ammunition. And since Kratos had his slingers here, he's going to be able to do quite a lot of damage to the archers as they run by, but he's also going to waste some ammunition because the horse archers are just so fast. Here we have Eastern Spearmen being very brave and very useful in pushing away the skirmishers of Macedon, so that Parthia can go for some nice shots. The mercenary Cretans are losing out here, but they're also doing a lot of damage, very devastating against lightly armored units, while their own armor enables them to stay alive for a bit longer, and of course their morale as well is pretty great. So they'll be able to exchange fire and absorb arrows for a long time. But Macedon is outmatched in skirmishing here, especially because Madslinky is using his Eastern Spears to push back the skirmishers very effectively, so nice use of cheap units to bait fire. Looks like Madslinky went a bit too close here, and now he's going to maybe lose this units of mercenary Sarmatian horse. Not getting a huge amount of kills on them yet, but they are doing something very important in keeping slinger fire off the Parthian foot archers. One Parthian foot archer is down, one unit of mercenary Cretan archers is down, and the levy pikes are taking a lot of casualties. This is not looking too good for Macedon, to be honest. Although they have a lot of infantry, doesn't really help against all of these cataphracts. Focus fire here from the Parthian foot means that the mercenary Cretans are going down. Kratos is going to turn around with his mercenary Rhodians, and one more unit of Eastern Spearmen is... oh, well, that's the Eastern Spearmen, so they came back from routing. Parthian foot showering arrows down on the mercenary Thracian peltasts, and they're moving ahead, but they're going to take a lot of fire. Slingers under fire from Parthian foot. They are not returning fire. The mercenary Rhodians are firing at the horse archers, doing a lot of damage to them. But these slingers really don't want to take a lot of fire in their backs, because then they aren't going to get their shield value. And with their low armor, they're not going to be able to live for long. So this can be very frustrating to deal with when you have horse archers in your rear and then you have foot archers in your front. That can be a very bad situation to be in, because the skirmishing is just that much deadlier when coming from two sides. So this slinger unit is going to rout off the field, and now there are basically only these mercenary Rhodian slingers left on the field for Macedon. Macedon has been picked clean of skirmishing by Parthia very effectively. The mercenary Thracian peltas are doing well in melee, of course. They have some decent melee stats. They are beating Eastern Spearmen. And now we have a unit of Eastern Spearmen going to charge in against the mercenary Thracian peltas. The Parthian foot archers moving closer to take care of the levy pikes. And when the levy pikes go down, Macedon is going to be in a huge amount of trouble. Mercenary Rhodian slingers being fired at in the back. Now they're kind of in a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. I think I would have turned them around. At least this unit, turn this unit around to not get fired in the back, because their shields won't help them now, and they're going to go down extremely quickly. That unit went down without managing to take down any Parthian foot. This unit probably should also turn around. Now Macedon is down to its basically down to its infantry, and that's going to be a bad time for Macedon, because I suspect there's a lot of ammunition left on the horse archers, and now they're just going to be able to fire anywhere they please into the rear of Macedon's units. So very nice here by Madslinky, and just picking apart the skirmishing of Macedon. And when Macedon's skirmishing is gone, and Macedon doesn't have any archers left, sorry, any cavalry, that is going to be a really bad time for Macedon. Here we have Madslinky moving in from both sides against the mercenary Rhodians. Again, damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, because they are going to get shot at in the rear. Doesn't matter which way they are facing, they are going to take fire from disadvantageous positions. So Macedon is becoming more and more defensive here, but they don't really have a response to what Parthia has left. If Madslinky is able to get his cycle charges in now and just expend all of his missiles before he goes into combat, then this is going to be a pretty bad day for the Macedonians. Mercenary Rhodians are going down. The levy pikes are going down extremely quickly to arrow fire. Their shields, of course, only being able to block 30% of incoming missiles. That's not going to be enough, and their health is only 45, so these guys are going to go down quickly to Parthian foot archers. Now Kratos is doing something he probably should have done a while ago. Use the militia hoplites to push away the noble horse archers and the other horse archers. And also using those guys to push away these Parthian foot archers would probably have been a good idea, but I guess he felt confident in his ability to skirmish with Parthia here, which is something you should never do when you're up against skirmishers from both sides. Then it could have been more effective to just screen with the militia hoplites and not take fire on more valuable units. So I think we'll see Macedon contract more and more here. Nice kills on the Parthian foot archers. Eastern slingers might have been more effective, but the Parthian foot are also very good units, of course. Macedon is just going to adopt a square formation here, but being in a square formation with hoplites and swords, when you're up against cataphracts, well, let's just see how it goes. I haven't seen that work yet, because cataphracts are so devastating on the charge, and these units don't really have a response to... The pikes can't stop the cataphracts, but these other units just have no way of stopping a massed cavalry charge from cataphracts. So although they're going to be able to make a super dense formation here, this is going to be really bad if there is ammunition left on the Parthian foot. They're going to be able to hit a lot of men here, take care of the pikes, and when the pikes go down, this formation is going to get absolutely destroyed by cataphracts. So bringing only infantry as Macedon can work, but not having cavalry, I think that's a very risky move. It might feel safer to just bring a lot of infantry, but it's going to be difficult to win the skirmish fight against Parthia if you don't have cavalry, I think. So focusing on the levy pikes, which is a smart idea. The levy pikes should rout off the field. The hoplites are also starting to take damage. The mercenary hoplites are going to be able to do well in holding this this sort of blobby square. Don't quite know what the units are doing now. Taking a lot of rear shots, and the cataphracts are not moving up yet, so I guess there's heavy shot being used for the noble horse archers. That's going to be able to do a lot of damage. And this is a pretty interesting formation. Maybe it's going for sort of a super dense square type of formation here. Levy pikes routing off the field, probably soon. Maybe he's trying to get shields going in all directions. And to not have a hollow center, so the cataphracts will get stopped. But again, cataphracts are going to do so much damage to a formation like this. It's going to be devastating. Here we have the levy pikes charging in to the mercenary hoplites, and good job. So yeah, very dense formation. Extremely dense. But I don't see this formation being able to stand up to what Parthia is able to do now. The cataphracts and the infantry coming in together with the flaming shot, this is going to inflict so many rear charge penalties, and it's just going to absolutely wreck Macedon. Macedon is in a hopeless situation, but being charged like this is just going to make it... Look at this. Look at the kills here. This is just so devastating. It's going to chain route the entire Macedon formation. And a blob like this is going to be so vulnerable to cataphracts. Especially when there's flaming shot being poured into the mix here. The units are not going to be able to stand up to it at all. So very nice surround and destruction. Heroic victory. We don't see many of those. And most of the Macedonian units didn't really do much here. They had the potential to do a lot of damage with skirmishing, but Madslinky, wisely putting his skirmishers both behind and in front, managed to dominate with his Parthian foot. And when the cataphracts charged in, he didn't lose. I don't think he lost a single cataphract. And these are all kills from a single charge, so just devastating stuff. Anyway, very interesting battles, I think. They were very good. Especially the last battle, showcased just how dangerous it can be to not bring enough cavalry if you lose the skirmishing fight against Macedon. And it also showed you how devastating cataphracts can be against infantry that is blobbed up. Those kills on the one charge from the Eastern Cataphracts together with the flaming shot and I presume also the war cry from the general is just going to destroy infantry in no time. So while the meta is pretty decisively favors infantry heavy armies, people need to start realizing, and a lot of good players have realized this, but I'm mainly talking about new players, is that there is a way to counter infantry, and if you play well with your skirmishers and you play well with your shock cavalry, then the infantry spams are not helpless, but it's fairly easy to defeat infantry spams with those types of setups, especially on flat maps. The problem is that it's more difficult to use balanced armies like this with shock cavalry, infantry, and skirmishers than it is to use just infantry spams. Because with infantry spams, you click the enemy flags and hope they start blinking. But with these types of armies, the balanced armies, you have to take into consideration positioning, protecting your units, matching the right kind of units against the targets they're effective against, and so on. But it's a lot more fun to play that way, although if you know that you're playing against a better player, it's not the safest way to play, that is for sure. It's not very safe to go for balanced armies, but against players of equal skill, the rush armies are going to be easier to use because they require a lot less micro, but the potential is definitely there with and people think that Parthia is weak now, but Parthia still has very impressive strengths in their cataphracts and their archers that can be exploited by good players. So good game, well played to both players. Thank you for sending the replays. Round 2 is starting this week, so I think we will have a lot more interesting games in the coming days. We will see Polybian Rome versus Carthage, so sort of a pretty early matchup in the Punic Wars was my thought with that type of matchup. And the tiebreaker is Epirus versus Epirus. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you again on the battlefield.